Well, good evening, everyone. My name's Anna Butler, and I'm the principal of Denim Court Public School. Welcome to all the parents out there. We had over 70 registrations for this evening's webinar. We're currently sitting a few short of that. We've got 40 on at the moment, so hopefully they're not going to be too far behind. But regardless of that, this, as you would have heard when you jumped onto the webinar, is being recorded so that it can be available to parents who aren't able to come on to the event tonight. So welcome to everyone. I'm excited to welcome our 2021 cohort of kindergarten parents to the school. Can't wait to welcome you on site next year. Tonight, hopefully this will help you with a bit of a transition plan for your child or children as you come onto the school grounds and into school in general. Most of the information tonight will be a general nature. So it's going to be providing you with some ideas for transition, a smooth transition for your child, and further seminars, webinars will be, and on-site events will be organised at a later date that's going to go into more detail of our literacy programs, numeracy programs, our wellbeing and special programs for kindergarten. So tonight's not about that. Tonight's a general introduction, and it's going to be a way to help your child to transition to big school from their preschool or their home environment. I want to thank you, first of all, for entrusting us with your children. It really is an important step in your child's life, moving from preschool or home to the school environment. And so we understand that it's a big deal, and we are so happy that you've trusted us, or you will be trusting us with your children. For many of you, this is your first child attending school, and we want to make this as smooth a transition as possible. And we are all here to help. So you'll meet some of the fantastic staff from Denim Court here tonight. And we are all available to speak with you. All you have to do is drop an email to the school, and we will definitely get back to you to answer any questions after this event or further on in the term leading up to next year. I wanted to provide first, and I should have done this first, but I wanted to also do an acknowledgement of country. Excuse me for a moment. And we have at Denim Court created our own acknowledgement of country that encompasses some of the things around our local area. So we would like to acknowledge the Dharawal people, who are the traditional custodians of this land, and recognise their continuing connection to land, waters and community. We pay our respects to them and their culture, and to elders both past and present, for they hold the memories, the traditions, the culture and the hopes of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders peoples across the nation. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Stephanie Dempsey. She's our Deputy Principal, and she's going to then make some general remarks and introduce you to the rest of the team. Enjoy, everyone.
Thank you for that, Mrs. Butler. So I just wanted to quickly welcome everybody to our webinar that we're having tonight, and really appreciate you taking the time out of your evening to join us. As you can see on the screen, there is a QR code there where we're asking if you could complete a pre-survey. It's not a lengthy one, it's just some quick information so that we have your child's name and your information in case we need to contact you with any further information. So it shouldn't take you very long at all to quickly complete that. So if you haven't already, if you could scan that with your phone, that would be greatly appreciated. I'll keep it up here for a few more minutes. And we'd really appreciate if you could let us know that you're here, basically, by completing that survey. And then I would also now like to pass over to our director for our area, Glenfield Network, Dace Ellison. He is going to have a quick chat with you and welcome you also. Thank you, Mr. Ellison.
Thanks very much, Stephanie, and thank you, Anna. This is an extremely exciting time for us, and I'd just like to start by acknowledging that I'm on the land of the Gadigal people tonight of the Eora Nation. I'd also like to pay respect to the lands that you're coming to me from, and that's the Dharawal Nation for lots of you. And the beautiful Dharawal Nation has looked after the land on which Denim Court has been built for tens of thousands of years. And you know, it's only through that kind of care and stewardship that we've able to build such an important place of learning for many, many generations to come. So can I please acknowledge the beautiful land of the Dharawal people. I acknowledge any Aboriginal people who are on the call this evening, and all of our Aboriginal students who will be attending our school and who will be growing as whole people in their journey through Denim Court. As I started out, this is a very exciting time for us, and you are the inaugural group of parents who are going to be enrolling your children into our school. It's a great honour and it's a great privilege for us to accept your children. And it's a very exciting time in education. My job is Director of Educational Leadership, and I just wanted to let you know that Denim Court is very much a part of a larger system of support. I'm in charge of 20 schools in the Glenfield Principal Network. 13 of those are primary schools, 4 of them are secondary schools, and 3 of them are schools for specific purposes. And my job is to take responsibility for leading educational leadership. And so in our care, we have at the moment 11,954 students and 1,963 staff that we look after. And we have been waiting with bated breath for Denim Court to be open, and we've been watching the journey and over many, many months now, and it's such a shame that this pesky thing called COVID has actually stopped us from enrolling at the point that we wanted to, but at the same time it's also allowed this fantastic staff who are going to be speaking this evening the opportunity to really bed down their practices, to really understand exactly how they want to lead your children in their learning. One of the things that I would say to you this evening is please become involved with the school. We've built the school for you. We've built the school for this community and the growing need that's in the community, and the value of the school and the richness of the school will be so further developed with your involvement. The Parents and Citizens Association will be developed as time goes on, and it will grow and grow and grow. And it's really important that you have your voice in the school, and because you'll be able to have your say in everything. In terms of the policies that are enacted, you'll be able to have a really fantastic role in raising funds for the school as it goes on, and also the direction of the teaching and learning. So I'd really encourage you all from the outset to become involved in that decision making in the school. There are also beautiful grounds. As I said, the school has been built with taxpayer money for the people who live in the area. There'll be opportunities for you to use the grounds, for you to use the hall when you have family celebrations, for you to use the ovals, for those people who have an interest in martial arts, for religious gatherings, whatever you would like. There are opportunities in the future for you to use the grounds at Denim Court, and that will be around you becoming part of the school, but also the school's responsibility in becoming part of the community. There'll be lots of exciting things that will be happening at Denim Court, and there'll be lots of information that will be coming to you, and lots of things you'll need that may actually challenge you. The school has been built based on the most cutting edge technology around how our young people learn. And some of the classroom organisations may be a challenge to you. Some of the organisation within the school may be a challenge to you because it's not the way that you learnt. So I encourage you to keep that open communication with the school as you go through, and where things are challenging for you or where you do have questions, really try to go on that journey with the school and dig into the reasons behind the decision making. I've had a lot of chats with Anna and her team, and I know that research is really driving everything that they do. This is an exciting time for you. This isn't about me this evening. This is about your children our beautiful kindergarten children who are going to be coming to us for the first time. And we're just so proud. We're really excited to have you. We can't wait to see those beautiful beaming faces walking through the school gates for the first time, and seeing them on their journey for the next 7 years until we hand them over to a high school in the area. So thank you for inviting me along this evening. It's been absolutely wonderful. I'm so proud of the school. I'm so proud of the leadership, and I just wish everyone all the very, very best. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. So we will get started. There are a few people that are still not here, but for those who have just joined, there is a QR code there just for a survey that we're asking you to complete before we get started. I'm going to flick to the next screen, but it is on there as well. So if you haven't already, if you could scan that QR code and register that you are actually here tonight with us, that would be greatly appreciated. And I'm just going to quickly run through just a couple of things around our webinar so that you know exactly what's happening, and then we'll get underway. So as it's already been mentioned, we are recording the webinar. There are some people who are not able to make it with us today. So they will be, if they email the school, they'll request to have a link to the recording of this so that they can have the same information that everybody else is having access to as well. So don't fret, no one can see you. It's only us that they can see. So you don't need to be concerned about what's happening in your home. If you're busy and doing lots of things, that is okay. It's only the presenters that they will see. There is also a Q&A section, which you can write any questions that you have as we continue to progress. I know lots of people have already been writing in there, welcoming, greeting us to say that they are here and thanking us for tonight, which we are more than happy to provide this kind of thing in an ongoing fashion, as Anna has already mentioned. So if you do have any questions, feel free to pop them in that Q&A section, and we will get to that as soon as we can. And if we find that there is a common thread or a question that's being asked quite regularly, we intend to make up a bit of a frequently asked questions type of a document that we will also email out to all of our families that we have post this event. So if you do have anything that is pressing that you really would like to know the answers to this evening or in the next few days, feel free to pop it into that Q&A section. And the last thing that I will share just before I hand over to Ms. Krilich. So you would have already seen in your email the agenda for this evening. We've already gone through a couple of those steps, so it won't be long, and we'll be handing over to the kindergarten team that you'll be able to hear from them. So if you haven't already seen that, just a little glimpse of our agenda for tonight. And the last thing from me is we have created a Facebook group on our Denim Court Public School page that is just for kindergarten parents. So if you haven't already joined that, you are most welcome to, and really appreciate you joining that. We're going to use that as a form of communication that's directly to our kindergarten parents. So the way you can access that is to go onto our Denim Court page, and you click over here on the About section. And underneath it, it will come up with groups, and you'll be able to see Kindergarten 2022 there. And as you can see, it is a private closed group. There are 3 questions that you're asked when you join that. Please, we do ask that you please ensure you answer those. That's how we will guarantee or ensure that you are a kindergarten parent and not just a member of the public who wants to join and find out some information, which we have plenty of forums to access that information for them. So we want this one to be exclusively for our kindy parents, particularly moving forward with the development around orientation and all of that sort of information. We want to have a platform that we can share that directly with you. So if you haven't already, please feel free to join our Facebook page. And don't stress if you're not someone who is on Facebook. We will continue to share all of our information still via our website and also via our school email list that we have from your enrolment form. So if you're not a Facebooker, that is totally fine. We will access that information in other ways. So I will now hand over to Miss Ashlyn Krilich, who is Assistant Principal for K-2.
Good evening. My name is Ashlyn Krilich, and I am the Assistant Principal, and I'll be working with the Early Stage 1 team. So Early Stage 1 is our kindergarten team. Before I hand you on over to them, I just wanted to touch base a little bit about orientation, because I know that we've had a lot of questions and emails about orientation. So In regards to orientation at this point, we have no further advice from the department, but they have been put on hold until term 4. So coming into term 4, we'll have some more information for you around orientation. Just please know that though, in the background, we have been working on different plans of how we might deliver orientation in a physical way or in a virtual way or in a combined physical way, meaning you can come on site or the students can come on site. So we are working in the background to devise some draft plans that once we know how exactly to move this forward in the parameters, keeping with the health guidelines, we'll be able to get that information out to you. So in regards to orientation, to Denim Court Public School will be the platform that we can provide you with some more contextual based information about the school. So, talking about uniforms or bell times, curriculum and things about the school, while tonight's information session is more about how we're going to transition from our preschool or pre-kindergarten setting into kindergarten and what are some things that we can do at home to begin to prepare them for that big transition, because that is a huge transition for our little people and it means a lot in their worlds. So we need to do the best that we can to provide them with the best transition possible. So like Mrs. Dempsey said, please follow us on Facebook and in our group. And if you haven't already, join the School Loop website. And we also, on our school website, will be able to keep you up to date with the latest information. If you have completed your enrolment forms, we have all your contact details. So your email, your address and your phone numbers. So we'll be able to also get that information out to you as well. So don't think that we have forgotten you. We definitely have not forgotten you. We're just doing lots of things in the background and waiting for the go ahead, and then we can share that out with you. So yeah. I would like to now hand you over to the early stage 1 team. So on our early stage 1 team, we have Mrs. Leanne Smith, we have Miss Mary Marcus, Miss Danielle Benson, and Miss Brittany Johnson. So they're going to present to you today just some helpful things that you can do at home in preparing our little people for the best possible start to their big journey into primary school and then all the way through as they become a lifelong learner. So I'll hand you over first to Miss Marcus and she'll get us started.
Thank you, Miss Krilich. Welcome everyone and thank you for joining us today. The kindergarten team here at Denim Court Public School have put together a small presentation with some helpful tips and ideas for you to consider during your child's transition into school. If you have any questions throughout our presentation, please feel free to leave them in the question and answer section of this webinar, as mentioned before. We hope that this presentation is helpful and useful, and I will be passing over to Miss Johnson, who will get us started with some helpful tips.
Okay, yes, so to kick us off, we are going to take you through some helpful tips for the transition to big school. So to start us off, in regards to your students' recess and lunch, a helpful tip is to start having your child unpacking their lunchbox, as well as opening up their lunchbox and starting to recognise the different foods that they have in there. So this includes what they have as their recess foods, their lunch foods, any fruit and veggies pack that might be a part of their crunch and sip. A good idea is also to have your child practicing taking their lunchbox in and out of their bag, just to get a bit more familiar with that process. What we also have here, this slide just shows an example of what a lunchbox might have in it for a full day of school. This includes fruit and veggies, dairy foods, a sandwich, wrap, salad, and also ensuring that they have a water bottle so they can stay hydrated and fill it up throughout the day if need be. Another little tip as well is any fruits or veggies that might be a little bit difficult to peel, having that chopped up and pre-peeled beforehand might be a little easier for the little ones.
We would encourage your children to engage in reading a story throughout the day in preparation for participating in home reading. Whilst reading, we would encourage them to practice reading conventions, which are holding the book the right side up, turning pages, and identifying the front and back cover. We would encourage them to practice putting their jumpers on and off by themselves and practice using the bathroom independently. It is important for them to practice healthy hygiene, which includes washing their hands, blowing and wiping their nose, sanitizing their hands, and keeping their fingers and hands out of their mouth.
We'd also encourage them to practice putting their belongings into their bags on their own. So that's their hats, their jumpers, their water bottles, and their lunch boxes. And a real helpful tip is to make sure that you label all personal belongings that they have so that they can recognize their own things to put in their bag. And just remember to regularly check their bag for any notes that we might give them throughout the week. Something that you can practice during the holidays is working on your child's fine motor development, and you can do that through play. So playing with things like Play-Doh, Lego, threading blocks, any kind of activity that has them manipulate small objects with their hands, that's going to help develop that fine motor skills. You can also do some fun activities with your child, getting them to practice cutting, holding scissors, holding a pencil, and drawing pictures. And there's lots of great activities or resources available online. We do have some examples here for you on this screen of things that you might be able to do during the holidays. So that's threading, playing with Play-Doh. You can colour in with your child. You can buy some hole punches and punch some holes to build those fine motor muscles. Again, like I said, cutting and practicing writing their name.
Okay, so I'll be talking about Best Start. Best Start is an assessment that will be completed by your child's classroom teacher. So it is not a test, it's simply an assessment. It allows your child's classroom teacher a chance to meet your child and get to know them on a one-on-one level and get to know them a bit more personally. And spend time discovering some new information about your child in terms of their literacy and numeracy skills as well. We will use that information that we gather from the Best Start assessment to then prepare your child for their learning and to build on their knowledge that they already have, their knowledge and skills that they already have, and challenge them in their learning as well. Just keep in mind there are absolutely no expectations or benchmarks that your child is expected to achieve during this assessment. It's more so for your child's teacher to get to know your child and to have an idea of where to next for your child.
Okay, so before we move on, just a reminder about everything that you've learned so far. If you do have any questions or want to know more information about something specific that we've mentioned, please feel free to keep adding them into the Q&A and they'll get back to you with those responses as soon as possible. So now we're going to move on to the first days of school and what that might look like for you and your child. So the first days of school will definitely be new and exciting, especially for our little learners. So expect that they may be very tired by the end of a full school day. And I'm sure everyone knows that how new places and situations can be a little nerve-wracking for the first time. So we completely understand the feelings that families and our kindy students might be feeling on the first day. So we really want to keep anxieties to a minimum and really surround this experience with lots of positive discussion. So when you start on the first day, expect that you will meet as a group, go through some general housekeeping, and then students will go and move off with their class.
The students will then be placed into classes that will continue to be flexible throughout the first week of school. This flexibility will ensure the students are placed in the most appropriate environment for them, as a class can have a large range of needs and personalities. Changes during this time will be kept to a minimum to minimize any disruptions to your child's learning. The first few weeks of school will build lots of routines that are vital to a successful learning. Students will focus on building positive relationships with teachers and peers within their school environment. The teachers will continue to focus on getting to know the educational, social, and emotional needs of each student to allow for a successful transition.
So to help teachers develop these really trusting relationships, it's important that you do leave promptly after your child has been met by their teacher and that they're ready to line up and learn. And when you're dropping off your child or at home time when you're picking them up, it's really important that you do avoid looking through windows or doors, as sometimes this can cause your child to get a little bit upset. And if you do arrive at school and your child is upset or is having some separation anxiety, make sure you ask somebody for help. The teachers will help to calm your child down, and they'll also help to make them feel really safe at school. And you're always more than welcome to contact the school after you have left, just to make sure that your child has settled into their learning and that they're feeling calmer. And just remember that together we are going to make their first days fun, exciting, and really memorable. Now, we've given you a lot of helpful tips and a lot of information. So just to summarize some of the things that you might be able to practice over the holidays, you can get your child to start listening and following instructions, and you can start with 1-step instruction and then move on to 2-step instructions. Have them attend to a story. This will show some listening behaviours. Practice zipping and unzipping not only school bags, but also their jackets and their lunch boxes. And remember, we want them to be able to recognise their name. So when they have belongings that they need to put into their bag, they can recognise that it belongs to them. And practice those procedures of unpacking and packing their own school bag, and just have conversations with your child. It can be about anything, about things that they like, about things that they dislike, just developing those conversation skills.
So on the screen, you can see some different ways to get into contact with us. We have our school email and our phone number available, as well as our social pages through Facebook and Twitter as well. You can also download the School Loop app as well on your smartphone for any school updates as well. We thank you for tuning into this evening, and we hope that you found some of this information very useful and helpful. We hope that you keep safe, and we can't wait to see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much to our kindergarten team, sharing some great information and some really helpful ideas around things that you can do to help get your children ready. Some additional ones I think that I would love to add just from my own experience to that is quite often we see kindergarten children come to school and they find things like going to the bathroom really difficult, because usually they've gone with mum or dad or whoever they live with to the toilet, and they've had someone to unlock and lock the doors for them and help them with things like their drawstrings in their toilet, in their pants or their shorts. So things to be mindful of is, obviously at the moment we can't really venture out to practice those skills, but maybe thinking about how you can support them in practicing the undoing and redoing of their clothing that they're going to be wearing. And it doesn't have to be the uniform, just something similar. I know, I've had plenty of children crying in a toilet because they can't get their drawstring undone and they need to urgently go to the bathroom. So just a little helpful tip from things that I've experienced is just some simple ideas of things you can be doing. Ms. Krilich, did you have anything to add there at all?
Yeah, I was just going to add on to talking about Best Start, and like the team had mentioned, just remember there is no preparation needed. It's really about us getting to know your child, their needs, and how we can plan the best possible way to move them forward, in their journey in education. And I know I always have lots of parents ask me, do they need to know how to count to 10, write their name fully, hold the pencil properly? Obviously, if they're things that you choose to work on, that's perfectly fine, but that is also our job. That is part of our kindergarten curriculum. And, if a student comes to school and they still need help holding their pencil, that is something that we can work on that with them, because that is part of our curriculum and our syllabus that we will provide them with that. So I know lots of parents and things ask the preschool lots of things about, maths and adding numbers. It's just about them starting to begin to develop a love for learning, because this is a very long journey and it doesn't end when Year 12 ends. It keeps going all the way through our lives. And we just want our students to love learning and love being part of the school experience. So yeah, just keep that in mind, and don't fret or start preparing for the Best Start, because it is just a way for us to engage with each student individually, get to know how we can plan for them to meet their needs. Yeah. So, Mrs. Dempsey, do you have any other final thoughts as well?
I was just going to address some of the questions that have been coming through frequently, just so that I can answer that for majority of you instead of just the one or two who are reading that one. So one of the questions I had was around uniform, asking if you should be ordering or buying your uniforms presently. So it's definitely a personal decision. If you'd like to order it now, you are most welcome to. Pickles are taking orders and they are fabricating and creating all of our uniforms and sending them out. So you most definitely can order those now if that suits you and financially you're ready to do that. Absolutely. There was a question around trying for your children to try on sizes. So I just wanted to let you know that we do not have an on-site school uniform shop. We're hoping that once we get up and running and we can have families back on site, that we might have some sizes for you to try on. But at this stage, it is just an online ordering system. So if you want to get any information about that, you would need to contact Pickles, who are the provider for us, and they may be able to provide you with some measurements or those sorts of things to help guide your decision around which sizing to purchase.
I was just going to say that, Steph, that Pickles are providing a sizing chart to give parents a way of measuring up at home and getting the best match they can. And if that's not the best match, then once we do start up, they'll have stock on site a few days a week, and they'll be able to do an exchange plan for that. Perfect.
Another question we had was about before and after school care as well. So I just wanted to let you all know, if you're not aware, we do have a before and after school care facility provider within our school hall. Their name is Whoosh. You can find all of their information about how to contact them on our school website in the newsletter section, where we share the information about them being the successful applicant for our after school care. And I would advise you contacting them as soon as you possibly can, because if you want to guarantee your spot, there are lots of families that will be starting with us this year and in 2022. So if you definitely need care and you know that, I would contact them sooner rather than later. Did anybody else notice any questions that you would like to address just to the whole audience?
Stephanie, do you mind if I jump in there?
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you so much. Look, I just noticed a question in there from Sumit and Sonia. Thanks so much for putting in your question. Really great question here. Sumit and Sonia have asked, so based on the Premier's announcement that schools will be going back on October 25, does that mean that the students in kindergarten at Denim Court will be going back as well? Sumit and Sonia, what I would say to you and the rest of the Denim Court public school community is that at the moment, the answer to that is no. Now, the answer is no because Denim Court is actually in a local government area of concern, with it being in the Campbelltown area. So the department has come up with a grading system, which basically goes from level 1 to level 4+. And so Denim Court is currently in a level 4+ school. But that doesn't mean that by the time we get to October 25, things have changed, and that will depend on transmission rates within the Campbelltown LGA. It will depend on the Premier and Dr. Chant announcing that the Campbelltown LGA has actually now come out of one of those areas of concern. There are a number of things at play here, including vaccination rates in the LGA as well. So what I would say to you is just hold tight for a moment. We are all across the state and across Australia in the moment, crystal ball gazing, and 7 weeks is the timeline until that October 25 horizon, and that is a really long time. But what we will commit to is that as soon as we possibly can, we will be opening the school. And in the meantime, we'll continue communicating with you as things change. So I hope that answers your question. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. Mrs. Butler, did you have something to add there?
No, just to say, you know, we're all very keen to have the school open, just as the parents are, and every teacher on the screen and every teacher not on the screen is just chomping at the bit, ready to get in there and invite people into the school and have students. It's not a school without students. So we can't wait to actually have students at our school And we're just fingers crossed that everything works well with our vaccination program and with people taking care in the environment and the school community so that we can have the right conditions to open. So we can all do our bit in that.
Perfect. One of the other things I thought I might address is we've had a few parents just wanting to check if we've received their children's enrolment forms and clarify if their child has been accepted into our school. I just wanted to clarify with all of you that if you are a child, or if you're a family who live within our local area, which you would have been able to check on the School Finder website, it will tell you your local school. So if you check your address and it says that Denim Court is your local school, then you are welcomed into our school. You are accepted. There is no process besides the normal enrolment process that you would have all completed for us to have gathered your email addresses to contact you in relation to this Zoom. The only people who will hear something around a formal acceptance is if you are a family that are from an out of area. So you are not local to Denim Court Public School. And if you are a family like that, you have to do a particular application to apply to a school that is not your local school. And you will then receive a formal notification to let you know the outcome of that particular process. So if you are unsure, please have a look on School Finder. You can just Google School Finder and it will come up for you, and it will ask you whether you're looking for a primary school or a high school, and you put in your address, your postal address, and it will let you know what your local school is. If it says Denim Court and you are getting emails from us in relation to kindergarten 2022, rest assured you are coming along next year.
And all of the forms that are needed for any of those processes, whether it's the out of area process or the local school process, are all available on our school website. So you'll just be able to click on there to get any forms that you need.
So that is pretty much rounding up our evening this evening. Myself and Ms. Krilich will stay on to answer the few questions that we have left in our Q&A. I just want to thank you all again for your time this evening. We know that everybody has lots of things happening, particularly in the evening when you have young children. So we do really appreciate you taking the time out to join us this evening. I'm going to just pop up my screen again. We just have a survey. Yep.
Can I just pop in? I noticed one question about requiring parents to be vaccinated. I just wanted to let Tina know that, great question, but in terms of having adults on site, we will be keeping that at a minimum as much as possible, and only sort of staff who are working in the canteen and staff in the school are going to be permitted on site. We won't be having lots of volunteers or visitors or parents to the site because of health restrictions. So in the future, it will be great if you're both parents are vaccinated, of course, but in the short term, I believe, Dace, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that we are still having restrictions on parents on site.
That's correct, Anna. And I think probably what we could do is we could send through a link to the Department of Education's COVID-safe school operations, that actually outlines every level from level 1 to level 4+, and then parents can feel assured that they know where the school is placed when we're talking about these levels. That might be a good idea.
Okay, we'll get that link out to the parents.
Yeah. The other thing that I would say to parents is to rest assured that across the public sector, and including the Department of Education, it is a requirement that all staff who are on site are double vaccinated. So we just wanted to make sure that you've got that assurity as well. Okay.
So I'm just noticing in the question and answer that we have lots of people just commenting about School Finder, that they may be getting 2 options. The only people who usually get 2 options are people in Edmondson Park, and it's not necessarily that you actually have 2 options. For some reason, there's a little bit of a glitch in the system. So if it is showing Denim Court and Preston's Public School, that will mean that you are in area for us, because we will not show up on your screen if you are not within our area. Unfortunately, we're not quite sure why. It's just Preston's that keeps showing up for our families in Edmondson Park. So if you're having any complications or difficulties around that, or you need some clarification, please email our school email address, and we will get back to you as soon as we can in relation to that. Because I know there is a little bit of confusion, particularly if you're someone in Edmondson Park. So just be aware, if it does say Denim Court, then you are in area for us. But if you need to clarify, feel free to contact us around that. There's also a few people saying they can't get the QR code to work, which is a little bit frustrating, but these things happen with technology. So if you have popped that in the Q&A, I've tried to send you the link to it as well. So hopefully you can get that. If not, you know, as I say, these things happen. We just have to keep rolling with it. So that's perfectly fine. So I'm just going to pop up my screen again, just to share with you the final little slide that we have, which is just a post-webinar survey. So in this one, we're just trying to gather if there is any further information that you maybe need from us, and also find out if your children have any additional needs that we might need to know about and make contact with you about, so that we can prioritize that contact with you, because everything is so unknown. We don't want to leave it until everything is known to find out what the particular needs that your children may have coming to us. And it also is asking if you think it was a useful evening for you. So if you are able to, it would be great if you could either pop onto that QR code, which hopefully will work, or I can also continue to send the link in the Q&A if it's not working, so that you can complete that post survey. And we will use that information to help guide us further in future years, particularly in terms of this initial greeting and meeting of each other. So if you can be honest in your feedback, that would be greatly appreciated. And Mrs. Butler, I will hand over to you for your final comments.
Thank you, Stephanie. I'd just like to say thank you to the Early Stage 1 team, and to Stephanie and to Ashlyn for leading this today and putting together this hopefully informative presentation for you today. I know that I'm impressed by the work of this team, and thank you very much to Dace for joining us tonight and for answering some of those questions coming through as well. Really appreciate that, and appreciate you being involved in our school. So thank you very much to the parents out there. We hope that we've provided great information, and thank you for the questions you've asked. We'll continue to be online after this, answering any of the questions that are in the Q&A chat there. And if you could please send through your information to help us make the school a better place, or the best place possible for your child, then that would be fantastic. So thanks again to the team and to the parents, and we look forward to communicating with you again in the near future about things that are very specific to what things will look like at Denim Court. Thanks, everyone.